How's it going? This is episode 1, I guess, of a new video series slash podcast with me and my buddy Jake, who is a Platinum Rewards member on the American Airlines frequent flyer. And that is why he is on this podcast, because he's been.
True.
So today we're going to talk about the wild card series, and hopefully this is going to come out before game ones start tomorrow. So I got some editing and stuff to do tonight. As we're recording this, is about 9:30 Central Time, which is like 3 o'clock Hawaiian. But that's where we're at here. My name's Josh. If y'all have been around the channel, y'all know that. And this is Jake the Elf Jizzer. And we're going to talk about the wild card today. We're going to go series by series, not make it super long for every series. Maybe only an hour per series. That would put us done at like 2 p.m., 2 a.m.
That's about how long we did with the spring training hat run.
Hats was brutal. I'm not going to lie
Yeah,
to you.
it's so long.
That's brutal. The hockey jersey video I did with Daniel was 4 hours that I edited down to an hour. So
I'll tell you about that.
Just keep that in mind as you're watching this, that you probably are only seeing a quarter of what we said. So you're welcome. Or I'm sorry, depending on which way you're going to do. We're going to go division by, we're going to go wild card series by wild card series. And you are looking at that right now on the screen. It's going to be Phillies, Cardinals, Padres, Mets in the NL, and then in the American League, it is Guardians, Rays, and then Mariners and Blue Jays. So, Jake, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start, I guess, top right, so Phillies, Cardinals.
All right. Phillies, Cardinals. This one's going to be in St. Louis. That's going to be Busch Stadium. Big alcohol consumers over here. And they're taking on the Phillies. What are your gut reactions on it?
I mean, I think if the series comes down to defense, St. Louis is coming out on top 1,000 times out of 1,000. But I'd like it if they won it. I don't particularly like the Cardinals. They have given me nightmares over the years as a Nationals fan. Shout out, forgot his name. Shout out the Cardinals, though. See him advance next, play the Braves. I think it'd be cool to see Pujols make a run in his final year. Just keep mashing homers. No telling how old the guy actually is, but, I mean, he's doing it in a wheelchair, basically.
He could be 50. That's not entirely a joke. It's
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't like either team, but I guess I'm rooting for the Cardinals in this one.
The Cardinals are deep, pitching-wise. They
are very deep.
They don't have a lot of holes, and they are deep.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the moves to acquire Quintana and Montgomery are going to be helpful. Montgomery's been really good since he's gotten there. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Phillies, though, are their top end of the rotation is really good because they got Zach Wheeler, I think, and Aaron Nola. That feels like that would be their top two going.
Yeah.
I'd the pitching might have to be slight advantage for Philly, even though I dislike Philly as well. And as a Rangers fan, I'm just contractually obligated to hate the Cardinals. So I'm pretty impartial here. But I think the Phillies, it might have an edge, at least starting pitching-wise, for those first two games. Now you get to game 3, and then it's tough. But
Game 3, they put their starter out as Ranger Suarez for Game 3, is what they're saying.
It'll be interesting. It will. Lineup-wise, I mean, Pujols has been unbelievably high. But do we think that continues? Is he a factor at all? The Phillies don't have a lot of left-handed pitching, so my gut says probably not.
I mean, they don't, but he's been hitting righties somewhat. As towards the back half of the season, I think.
He's been on one the last month and a half against both hands,
Uh,
so I guess I'll be interested to see how they use him. You think he starts?
I think he could start as the DH.
Well, yeah, well, that would be the only. You're
Yeah.
not going to run an 80-year-old man in center.
I mean, crazier things have happened. All right, so Platoon this year, I mean, he's still batting worse against righties and lefties. So lefties in 70, not 70, in 70 games, 114 ABs. He's batting 350. That is just he's on one. Versus righties, significantly more ABs at 193, and he's only doing 223. But I want to say that he is uh, batting like better against righties as the year goes on.
Feels that way.
I mean, and the only reason I say that is I haven't watched um, a lot of Cardinals baseball lately. He's been hitting some of his home runs against right-handed pitchers, so I don't know. It's possible. I think for the Cinderella story, he probably gets started as a DH. We'll see, honestly.
I would think in at least one of the games he's got to start. I mean, it's in St. Louis. It would almost be criminal if he didn't.
It's Michael is. I might. Why? Yeah, no shit, Jake. Why would I care what he's facing? Michael. God.
A mid-game trade just shatters the baseball world. Pujols is a Philly. His final playoff run as a Cardinal ends with them trading his ass to Philadelphia.
Break out the retractable Ethernet cable and walk your ass to the router.
I'll figure it out later. All right, we're going to segue from the Pujols talk to lineups. Who's got the? Who do you think has got the edge between Philly and St. Louis for just strictly batting order, no defense at this point? Because we'll talk about that potentially in a minute, but I think that'll be a pretty short discussion.
I'll let you go first.
If Philly obviously is geared to hit, that's kind of how they built their team. Between Castellanos and they got Schwarber, who I think hits leadoff for them at least some. They got Hoskins, they got Bohm, Real Muto's pretty good. Their lineup's good. It is. St. Louis's, though, Goldschmidt's one of the best hitters in the major leagues right now, not just the National League, as a complete package hitter. Arenado is still elite, in my opinion, defensively and offensively. If it's possible for Arenado to be underrated, he might be underrated at this point because he is doing just nuts things. I think the Phillies lineup might be a little bit deeper than St. Louis's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Philly has the edge on the bench. I feel like of the starters, it's deep down to 7, 8. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's deep on both sides because St. Louis, you're gonna have Arenado, you're gonna have Goldie, you're gonna have Edman. I don't know. From a pure power standpoint, I think Philly has the edge. Right? They're all gas. They're just we're gonna hit 17 solo homers, and we're gonna try to not give up 16 runs.
Yeah.
So if they're on one, they're good. I think the problem is a lot of their guys are power or bust, right? I think Schwarber's hit 45 bombs this year, but he's batting 223. I don't think people like to hear it anymore, but I feel like it's still true. Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And so there, St. Louis, 99.999 times out of 100. I think the only saving grace for Philly, Schwarber has a cannon in left field for some reason. That's probably going to come into play in Game 3 in the 8th inning. and everybody's just gonna forget about it. I don't know. I think St. Louis has the edge.
I would agree. I'll take St. Louis in 3, I think.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think 3's the easy answer. I'll go St. Louis in 2.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, baseball is just so hard to predict because you run into, like, Aaron Nola's cracked out of his mind and suddenly, like, the Cardinals get one hit. You're like,
Yeah,
well, I
it's
just,
true. Shout out my man Anibal Sanchez almost throwing a no-hitter against the Cardinals.
yeah, that is, yeah. So, you run into a hot 5-starter and
Yeah.
suddenly he looks like an ace, and that's just, it's a loss. So I don't know. I think Philly squeaks one out. Probably. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't know.
feel great about it, but
I don't feel great, but it's like, I mean, the past couple of years, St. Louis hasn't performed in the playoffs either. So, and they've made it.
yeah, one of these home teams is going to lose a series. I think, almost for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the American League. I'm going to pick next. Let's do the 3-6 in the American League. Let's do Cleveland and Tampa, which is two teams that I'm sure everybody has watched many hours of because of the large markets that they come from. I'm very popular in Cleveland, if y'all remember that video from like 3 years ago.
Yeah. You know what, bud? If you're still watching this, shout out that guy that can't spell Omar Vizquel, right? I honestly respect if you made it this far. Comment Omar in the comments if you've made it here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go find that fucking comment now.
You're welcome. That is significantly easier than having to find those defensive videos.
That might not actually be true because that didn't take that long.
Yeah. Okay, so Tampa and Cleveland. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just,
In Cleveland.
it is in Cleveland. That's right. I don't know, dude. I don't watch a lot of AL baseball. And I think both teams just crazy enough to pull something out of their ass.
The Rays have got to be.
The Rays are gonna like bring in a bullpen guy for like 12 pitches in the first inning. He's gonna walk a guy, and they'll be like, "Yeah, no, starter. Bring in the real starter. 2 outs in the first inning, but he's gonna throw a no hitter." So yeah, I don't know. I really, honestly, have zero feelings about this, other than it's gonna be interesting.
It is a series. I mean, so Cleveland's lineup is good. Like, it is unironically good. You got Jose Ramirez kind of anchoring it.
I gotta go for Bieber, and this is solely because of McClanahan's windup in MLB The Show. How ungodly slow it is. So, yeah. Shout out Bieber. Be a believer.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think what's going to happen is the first game's going to end like 2-1.
Yeah.
And then the next game is going to end like 7-6 or something stupid.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I've not watched enough. I mean, so Cleveland's got Clase. If Cleveland can get it to Clase, you got to feel pretty good about him closing that out. I would think, right?
I think if Cleveland wins the series, Clase probably gets a multi-outs, like a multi-inning saves.
How often? So, how many batters do you think Clase faces in the series? Because would you go multiple innings, like multiple times with him, or like past 4 outs multiple times with him? Like potentially,
If it's 1-3, I think so. If it's 1-3 or 2-3, I don't know. It's gonna be tough though if he has to pitch all 3 games. I mean, it's gonna be tough for any situation because they're back to back to back. So yeah, I don't know. Somebody in the comments correct me because I'm sure there's a diehard fan that's been a fan of one of these teams for 37 years. Um, but I feel like this series is a toss-up,
I'd agree.
even though it's the high and the low seed. Um, I think Tampa just they just played in a tough division this year somehow. Like, you know, that's like three top teams in that division. Um, or no, four, I guess.
I'm interested to see Stephen Kwan on a big level, like on a national level. See what he's all
Watch
about, man.
watched a couple Stephen Kwan videos, but he's not on a big level at any
I
sense.
mean, hey, look, we can't
Uh,
all have nice things.
the legs of an iguana. Yeah, I know. I think that could be fun. Shout out that mission where I had to get like a double with him.
Oh, the Guardians have Karen Chuck. Or Karen
That's
Check,
right.
however
Yeah,
we say that. So that's another arm. So there's
yeah.
two whole
That's
pitchers that Cleveland has.
yeah. I mean, he's got an arm. He may have an OCD ADHD problem with grabbing his hair.
Yeah.
Uh, Shout out Tampa if they decide to check that. I think somebody already checked that this year and it failed.
I
Uh,
you can't ask for a hair check in the playoffs, right? There's like no
oh,
shot.
you can if it's game 3. If it's the
Like, but
elimination
can
game,
you?
I think you can.
How
If not,
much? How much would he have to be going to his hair?
I mean, he already does it every pitch, and
Which
sometimes
is why I
multiple
don't think
times.
you can.
I I don't know, man. An elimination
Like,
game in the playoffs, unless
I mean,
I don't
if
know,
it's
unless
an
Buddy takes off his hat, stares at the dugout, and is like, and then goes to the ball. I don't know, man. I think you can ask for it. And if the umpire tells you that you can't ask for it because it's the playoffs and they've already done it this year, I think you have to get ejected.
I mean, people have been ejected for less, surely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, realistically, they probably don't, but I
I
think it'd be
mean,
very funny.
it would be funny. You
Okay,
are right about that. It would be hilarious.
let's throw out the point. Let's just throw out the fact it's a wild card elimination game. Game 7 of the World Series, ninth inning. Can you ask for a check?
I really think it depends. I really think it depends. Game 7 of a World Series, because I don't like that's an awfully tough look if they go out and find nothing, and then suddenly you're like, oh, we're just losing. Like,
Yeah, I
they're
don't
not
know.
cheating. We're just getting out, like closers balling out.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's true.
Who you got in the series? So that's a toss up, but you got to pick somebody.
I don't have a coin. I go Tampa.
You know what? I'll go Tampa too.
All right, Tampa
Feels
it
good.
is. They're gonna get spanked in 2 games now.
Oh, 100%. Tampa's getting swept. I guess we'll stay in the AL. Let's go Jays Mariners.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good series.
I agree.
I think both teams are pretty young. Um,
They are. Both of these teams are exciting because of that.
yeah, they're both exciting because they're young. Um, I I just hope for Seattle's sake that Felix has been conditioning himself in the regular season while he's been retired, and we're signing him into a week-long contract. It's a travesty that man's not going to get into the playoffs with them this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hey, you got J Rod and Vladdy the Wagon going against each other here in a 3-game series. It's gonna be something.
That's gonna be the most fun series to watch, I think. I hope it goes 3.
I will say, if you're a Seattle relief pitcher, you pray to God that you're not left-handed, because if you are, you're not pitching this series.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it in the trade deadline video. Toronto's right-handed heavy. Like,
They got one. I'm pretty sure they
yeah,
legitimately have
it's like
one left.
Kevin Biggio.
It's Biggio.
And the three batter minimum's a thing. So,
Yeah.
like, you can't just come in and face Biggio. Like, you're going to have to face.
Biggio is going to get, like, sandwiched between, what? Bichette and Guerrero?
I don't know that he bats that high.
Right.
Toronto. It went Springer, Vlad, Bichette, Chapman, Teoscar, Tapia, Biggio, Jansen, Bradley Jr. So there's three lefties in there.
I pulled up a random September. Went Springer, Guerrero, Bichette, Kirk, Chapman, Teoscar, Danny Jansen. Oh, I forgot about this guy. Merrifield was in there.
Yeah.
That's right, because Buddy got jabbed. And Biggio. Yeah, I forgot Merrifield's on that team.
He adds a right-handed bat to a team that has a lot of right-handed bats. I don't know. Both lineups are deep.
Yeah.
They're both good. I mean, because if you turn it around, you look at Seattle, we have like Mitch Haniger, you got J-Rod like we talked about, you have Suarez, you have
Frazier.
You have Cal Raleigh, who randomly is cracked out of his mind. Like the Mariners, they don't have like the names or the star power, or I guess like the lineage, because you got Guerrero, Bichette, and Biggio all on a team over here. They don't have like the name power, but they're every bit as good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Game 2 is going to be interesting because it's probably, I haven't looked at it, but looking at their roster, that's got to be Robbie Ray. So that's going to be Ray against his former team trying to dice up a bunch of righties.
Do you consider not starting Ray? If you,
I don't know. I think he's been good enough; he can do it.
The Jays pen is nothing to scoff at either. I mean, you got Jordan Romano out of the pen. You have like Adam Simber, the weird like lanky guy who throws submarine, who's a disaster in the show.
Yeah.
I think Nate Pearson potentially is playoff eligible. All right, so we got to pick a team. Seattle, Toronto, broken it down at least roughly right. What do you got? It's in Toronto, so the home field of Rogers Center. But the Bats of Seattle coming to town.
I think I'm going to go Toronto. I think you could have the Cinderella story that St. Louis is going to have with, is that basically Pujols, Waino, and Yachty's last ride. So I think you could get that out of Seattle as, breaking the drought with the young core coming in. But I don't know. I think I want Toronto to win.
I think for the story, I'm going to root for Seattle. Intellectually, I kind of have to think Toronto's going to pull it out. Just at home, that is an awfully tough ballpark to play. I'll go Toronto in 3 because I think that Seattle probably wins a game. I think Seattle may win Game 1, but I don't feel good about Ray in Toronto. I don't feel great about Gilbert in a playoff start without having seen it before. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That would be my gut. Rooting for Seattle in 3, I guess. I would like some of these series to go 3, so we have some non-football to watch on Sunday. No offensive football, but
see, yeah, I don't know. I guess I needed to start a day later. That way, I have to care about them on Saturday on college football.
yeah.
I already don't care about the NFL enough that I would probably watch Game 3.
Well, the normal season ends on Sunday. I think on a strike year. It's supposed to end on Sunday, and then this stuff is supposed to happen like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the normal series
Yeah,
starts.
I guess I am happy for this thing because then it's not on a work day.
Yeah, I had to the last 2 years ago maybe. I got my oil changed in the middle of the week during the Atlanta Braves Cincinnati Reds series because I watched Trevor Bauer on the TV in the oil change place while they were doing whatever shit.
Probably changing the coolant.
100%. Yeah, I changed an air filter on my car. I bought an air filter and I just put it on because it's like two screws, you know. And both of my parents looked at me as though I was a wizard from another country. Like I had just spawned from the universe of Narnia, and I was a deity walking among them. And I was like, yeah, it is.
Honestly, I remember when this happened. It was rather amusing.
It's like it's
You're like
screw.
You're like I watched a YouTube video.
Yeah, the video. It wasn't even like a long video. It was like 4 minutes, and I was like, "Well, I'm not paying some dude like $30 to do this. There's no. It's going to take me. And of course, I leave out the part that took me 7 hours, but I also paused because I had some Food Network to watch in the middle. So
good Food Network bash.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're not marathoning Food Network consistently, I don't know what you're doing. Mets, Padres in like 5 minutes or less, 10 minutes or less, because that is all my internet can handle. Who you got?
Yeah, I fundamentally hate the Mets as a concept, so we're going Padres.
All right, I'm gonna go Mets.
It doesn't even matter that they have Bell and Soto. For moral obligation reasons, I have to choose them.
Because of you, Darvish, have to pick the Mets. No, the Mets are the better team. There's no way around that. The Mets are probably the third best National League team. I don't know if they're better than the Braves, and I don't think they're better than the Dodgers. But I think they're better than every other National League team. So,
yeah. I don't know. I think they're the better team in the series, but I don't know. Like I said, fundamentally, I cannot root for them. Or can I root for the snake that is Jeff McNeil?
National League batting champion snake to you, pal.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Edged out Braves legend Freddie Freeman by like a point.
Yeah, well, we all know Jeff McNeil is a King Lord Edger. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the Mets are probably the better team, but dear God, did they embarrass themselves in like the last month of the season?
Yeah, it's not been a good September/early October for New York.
Yeah. So unless they can turn that around, I don't know. It'd be a good series. I think if we're trying to count up the intangibles, they do have a actual bona fide serial killer on the roster in their Game 1 starter. So, yeah, I don't know. Each side, I guess, if we're just going pure Nationals base, each side has a World Series winner of how to get there.
Yeah.
Right? So, I guess pitching it probably goes to the Mets, right?
I think so. I mean, I read somewhere that they're going to try not to use DeGrom in this wild card series, which I think is smart. Unless you get to Game 3, then I think you just have to. But even with like Scherzer and then Bassett and Carrasco, I assume Bassett or Carrasco starts Game 2. And if it gets to a game 3, I think it has to be DeGrom. But, I mean, the starting pitching is deep
Good.
for
And
the
then they have
Mets.
one pen arm.
Yeah, I mean, they got Diaz. Ottavino's been okay. I think the Mets are going to have to use starters out of the pen to make a deep run. I don't think it's going to be like Scherzer and DeGrom and Bassett, but they use like 8 starters this year. So I think some of those guys are going to wind up being like middle relief people.
It's possible. I don't know. It's been done before. I mean, you can make it by using 2 relievers or 3 relievers out of the pen and the rest starters.
Yeah.
I would recommend it, but it can possibly get you a World Series. So, yeah, I don't know. I think if the Padres can get on one and their hitters can get streaky again, they might stand a chance. Because when the hitters they have on the roster are on, they're on. And they're good. And they have the guys to hit homers and hit doubles and get on base. Right? So if you get if Josh Bell is hot, got him. Obviously, you have Juan Soto. Everybody knows that one. You get Cronenworth getting hot. Say he puts a couple balls in the gaps there in New York. Some just forgets about all his playoff experiences. He has a chance to do good.
Yeah.
Same for Josh Hader, but he's gonna have to forget about the playoffs too. Thankfully, he's kind of been on one the last like 3 weeks of the season.
He did not look good immediately after that trade.
Oh,
for a while.
Yeah, but it seems like he's back, and so if he's back, that's a hell of an arm out of the pen.
It is. And I think the Padres wouldn't feel bad about using him in 2 games in a row, potentially 3 games in a row, because that is why you traded for him.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why you did it. Like if you traded for him and gave up capital for him, you're going to use them.
And he can get righties out, which is good because I don't think the Mets are like a lot of lefties. Like what? It's McNeil, Guillorme, and
Nimmo.
That's right, Nimmo. Hard 90, baby. Yeah. That's pretty accurate representation.
But he's just booking it. He's like milking a cow while he's running.
Yeah. He's doing a hard 90 for the scouts, even though he is in the big leagues.
Yeah, he is at least a decent major league hitter. Hard 90.
I don't know. It's, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, fundamentally, I can't root for the Mets, so.
I'll go Mets in 2. Feel good about it. Now that I've said that, they're going to lose in 2, 100%. Scherzer's going to shit the bed. Darvish is going to pitch a no-hitter. And then we're going to follow that up with 11 innings of Hader and a 21-inning classic. Ends 1-0.
I'm jumping out a window if I had to sit through one of those again.
Okay, here's a prop bet question for you. Yeah, the Eovaldi game was brutal.
Was it? It did. I had to sit through the freaking that Giants game, the Giants Nationals game.
Oh, that's true too.
Like the 15 inning or whatever.
I'll never forget the Eovaldi versus the Dodgers game. That one, I'm going to remember that one.
Bad. That was pretty bad.
That was awful. Eovaldi on like 8 innings out of the pen to get a loss is tough.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how you cut it. But, I don't know. Here's a prop bet question for you. Does Terrence Gore get an at-bat? You got to think he makes the roster, gets into a game as a runner late. If it's close, does that happen? He stays in the field and it cycles back around where he has to hit.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it happens.
I will probably agree with you because the amount of things that would have to go either right or wrong for that to happen, depending
Is
on
that
how
just
you're looking
right?
at things.
Yeah, is that just how you look at that?
Yeah.
Because I have just ran through every scenario in my head very quickly, and I don't think any of those are the right scenario.
Well, like, so say he comes in and, like, like there's like a 0-0 game and he gets on, like, somebody gets on in the seventh. And he gets on, he goes around, he scores, and you just, you send him out to, like, left or something. I don't think you can put Terrence Gore anywhere other than left. If he's staying in the game, he's probably playing left.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it happens, but I do. Sometimes at night when I can't sleep, what gets me to finally sleep is the thought of Terrence Gore starting a game as a DH. So I would actually love to see that.
So I don't know if you've been on MLB.com recently. I was doing the pickle today. I definitely had to use a roster because I just wasn't getting to David Bednar.
Oh god, that was brutal.
But so I was like, maybe it's like an NL East player, and I went to look at the Mets because I was like, yeah, maybe. And you know what they have Terrence Gore listed as? A designated hitter.
They should just put him in there as a DR, designated runner.
It's like like we got it. Like Otani changed the game, but Gore did it first. Gore is the first ever like runner specialist to that degree. There's been fast people, but there hasn't been like Terrence Gore levels of.
Terrence Gore is faster than what happens to me in the bathroom after I eat Taco Bell chicken quesadilla, right?
Is just
So he's fast.
yeah.
But designated hitter, that's awfully tough. Doesn't he have like 2 RBIs in his career?
I think that's true. I don't know. So there's can't have been that many pitchers in Major
Terrence
League
Gore.
history
So
to give up RBIs or even hits to Gore. Like that's a
right,
small number.
so Baseball Reference lists him as a pinch runner and outfield.
See, that makes
Oh, dude, he has a positive WAR. He's positive .1.
well, yeah, he's not in the game long enough to have a negative WAR.
He has a negative .1 WAR this year, bud.
Well, yeah, because he's played more. This fucking got a hit.
He has 7 at bats.
That is like 5 too many at a minimum. And some would argue that's 7 too many.
It's 7 of his 74 career at bats, by the way.
10% of his at bats have been with the Mets. Think about that.
Dude, he had 58 at bats in 2019.
That's wild.
That's where he got his first RBI. 14 hits,
That
2
makes
doubles.
sense. What's his batting?
In 8 years, 216 with a 310 on base and a 270 slugging. He has, in that 2019 year, were his only extra base hits. Mainly because his other years, except 2018, he did not get any hits. He got 1 hit in 2018, 14 hits in 2019, and then 1 hit in 2022. But the year that he got 14 hits, he hit 2 doubles and 1 triple.
Do you think Terrence Gore is the last of his kind? Is there ever another guy that comes up that is, to the extent that he is, a pinch runner exclusively? Because that is basically what he, outside of that 1 year in 2019, that is what he is.
Wow. I mean, Billy Hamilton wants to extend his career, maybe.
Yeah, but If Billy Hamilton was that
Billy can
fast,
field at least.
yeah, but he hasn't been on rosters. Like, there's something wrong with Billy Hamilton, clearly. Because, like, if he's as fast as Gore, why isn't Billy Hamilton, like, on Seattle right now or on Philly right now as a runner?
Sorry, I just want to butt in here. 2011 rookie Arizona League Terrence Gore was cracked out of his damn mind. He played in 35 games, got 94 at-bats, hit 340, on base of 447.
Jesus.
Stole 17 bags, wasn't caught stealing. Got walked 15 times. He had 16 RBIs. He is a career 237 minor league hitter.
I mean, that's not that much worse than the major league numbers.
Yeah. But he has World Series ring?
It's like 4.
I guess 2. Does not say when he got them, but he has 2.
Yeah, I don't know. You know who's got game-changing speed like he does? Who I don't know that he's going to wind up being good. I think he'll be more than pinch hitter, though. Is Bubba Thompson on the Rangers. Like, that guy flies. Like, if he ever figures out how to put the bat on the ball consistently, he's going to be incredible. But even so, like, he's going to win a Gold Glove. I have no doubt. I really
hope he plays outfield because he's going to have to be the center fielder of the future for the Rangers.
It's either he or Leote. Leote's pretty fast, too, but he's not Bubba fast. Bubba's fast as hell, dude.
He ain't this, but, he can hit, but he can't hit like Bubba.
I want a... look up his...
Dude, apparently... I don't know. I saw a video about this recently. I don't know if it's a team that's in the playoffs. No, it's not. Because it's the, what team does that... What does Corbin Carroll play on?
Oh, Arizona.
Yeah. Apparently he has only lost 1 foot race in his entire life. And it's some pitcher on the Cardinals. Or Diamondbacks. It's some random pitcher on the Diamondbacks is somehow faster than him. He's the only guy who's ever lost.
Super interesting. Maybe that pitcher's got a career. That guy's fast. So if that pitcher ever doesn't work out, maybe he's the next Terrence Gore.
Yeah, because I don't know, because they were interviewing the manager for the Diamondbacks, and they were like, yeah, like, how fast is it? And he's like, yeah, after I saw him a couple games, I went up to him, I was like, hey, man, have you ever lost a foot race? And apparently he was, like, visibly kind of upset. And he was like, yeah, I've only lost 1. And it's this guy.
Interesting. I am actively rooting for there to be the need for an emergency catcher situation at some point in the playoffs. I just think that would be hilarious.
I need Bryce Harper to lace him up. I need to see him at a major league level being a catcher.
That would be kind of funny. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. That took a while, so that's gonna be like 15 minutes. No, it'll be longer than that probably. But you have any last words? That didn't come out right. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, go Padres. Because the Mets are terrible.
You know what? Go Mets. And comment if you've made it this far. Shout out all like 2 of you. Comment podcast name suggestions and why should we be nuns ripping ass. Yeah. We'll see you in the next one.
Shout out Jackson for being here. I know you made it here, bud.
Yeah, you know it. What's up? Shout out the Red Sox.